Okay, so it says find a polynomial function of lowest degree that has the given numbers as sum of its zeros. So one thing we know is, hold on, let me change colors here. If 1 plus I is a zero, we know that complex zeros come in pairs, so that means 1 minus I is also a zero. And so the polynomial function that we could write having the lowest degree would be found by using these three zeros. So if 1 is a zero, we know x minus 1 is a factor. If 1 plus I is a zero, actually let me just use brackets here, we know x minus 1 plus I is a zero. And if 1 minus I is a zero, we know that x minus 1 minus I is a factor. And so we need to multiply these three factors in order to come up with the polynomial. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is multiply these together. Now I could actually distribute the minus and get rid of the parentheses inside these parentheses here. But it's actually easier, I believe, to multiply it the way that it is. And so let's go ahead and multiply, or we're going to FOIL this out. So first of all, we'll multiply the x's here, and we'll get x squared. Then we will multiply, the x times a minus 1 minus x. And so that's going to be, well, it's a positive times a negative. It's going to be a minus x times 1 minus I. And then we will multiply or distribute. Here we're going to multiply. A negative times a positive. So notice here we're going to end up with a minus x times 1 plus I. And then finally, when we multiply these guys, a negative times a negative, we're going to get a positive. And it'll be plus 1 plus I times 1 minus I. All right, so let's go ahead and simplify what we have here. Eventually we'll have to multiply by this x minus 1, but not for now. So we have x squared minus x. A minus x times a minus I will be a plus xi. And then when we distribute here, we'll have a minus x, and minus x times 1 is minus x, and minus x times I will get a minus xi. And then here we're going to have to FOIL. So when we multiply the ones, we're going to get 1. Now these are actually conjugates, and so you don't have to do the inner and outer product. We just need to do 1 times 1 and then a minus I times a positive I. That'll be a minus I squared. So notice that's going to be negative 1. So finally, I think we're ready to combine all our like terms. We have x squared. We have 2 minus x's, so that'll be minus 2x. Notice these guys cancel. And then we have a 1 minus negative 1. That'll be, so this here ends up being 2. 1 plus 1. So that'll be plus 2. And so that's what we get when we multiply these guys together. Now don't forget, we still have to distribute x minus 1, or multiply by x minus 1. And so let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute the x here. I'm going to get x cubed minus 2x squared plus 2x. And then I'm going to distribute the negative 1. And so I'll get a minus well, let's see, it's negative 1 times x, so minus x squared. Negative 1 times negative 2x is a plus 2x. And negative 1 times 2 is a minus 2. And so we're going to end up with, let's see, we've got x cubed. We have a minus 2x squared and a minus 1x squared. That's minus 3x squared. We've got a 2x, oops, and another 2x, so that'll be plus 4x. And then don't forget this minus 2 here. And so this is the function having the lowest degree that has these 3 zeros. And that's it for this video.